I want to talk to you about a specific, human rights situation in parts of Africa and including in your own country. You yourself gained worldwide attention a few years ago when you said there was, quote, no room for homosexuality in Kenyan society. I want to know whether you still stand by that.
We have Kenyan law, we have Kenyan constitution, we have our tradition, we have our customs. We will continue to respect other people's customs as they respect our customs and our tradition. I am very clear that we respect everybody and what they believe in, but we also have what we believe in, and we expect to be respected for what we believe in.
One of the major issues, and it's a holdover from sort of colonial Victorian, is the issue of sexual preference in many African countries. In Kenya, to be gay, the LGBT community is illegal. They just want to have equal rights, the same privacy and equality as all other Kenyans do. Is that something that you aspire to for your country?
I want to be very clear, Christiana. I will not engage in a subject that is of it is not of any major importance to the people and the Republic of Kenya. This is not an issue, as you would want to put it, of human rights or this. This is an issue of society, of our own base as a culture, as a people, regardless of which community you come from. This is not acceptable. This is not agreeable.
So he's basically saying homosexuality is not agreeable. You've just said that you're kind of trying to thread the needle, that the law says one thing, but you respect everybody's rights. Will a Ruto administration crack down, like many other leaders in Africa, on the homosexual LGBTQ community, or will you allow them their human rights and their civil rights?
I think on that subject, President Kenyatta was spot on. We do not want to create a mountain out of a molehill. This is not a big issue for the people of Kenya. When it becomes a big issue for the people of Kenya will make a choice. As it is now, we are grappling with 5 million young people who do not have jobs, 4 million people who are hungry, and that is my concern. That is the focus of the people of Kenya at the moment. When the issue you have discussed about homosexuality and the rights of LGBT will come, the people of Kenya will make a choice, and we will respect the choice of the people of Kenya. For now, Christiana Amanpour, let us focus on the real issues that affect our people.
If I were to make a list of 100 pressing issues and problems that Africa is facing, the issue of homosexuality would not be on that list. But when you have major global news channels such as CNN pressing the president of a sovereign nation to accept homosexuality and gay marriage, you know something bigger is at play.
You're going to get yourself into trouble.
Hello everyone, this is John Henry with the Gospel of Christ, and welcome back to a new video. If this is your first time on the channel, I invite you to subscribe and click the bell button to be notified each time we upload a new video. Most politicians promise you the moon and the stars when they want you to vote for them, but the moment they're elected, they forget all about their promises as they get involved in the game of politics, where compromise is just expected and almost unavoidable. The very few that do not compromise is a rare breed, and the president of Kenya is apparently one of them. Listen to how he answered a CNN news anchor who put him on the spot on the issue of homosexuality.
Because what you've categorically just stated is that this is not an issue for us, for the Kenyan people, yes. And you don't think that the idea of their privacy, their equality, their rights is important.
This is,
but it's a global issue right now.
It's important to them where they are.
Why is it not important to you
that it
as
is
president
not
of the country?
Important to me as the leader of 49 million Kenyans. And after, if you want to ask me my personal opinion,
What is your personal opinion?
after I finish my process, I can talk about my personal opinion. But as the leader of the people of the Republic of Kenya, I represent that which our people are desirous to be. And I have no choice, but that is my position.
The president of Kenya upheld the truth and defended his country, his people, and their values. It is very interesting, though, to watch how shocked the CNN news anchor was when he told her that the people decide what the laws should be and not the political elite. Now, as a Christian, I understand the gravity of human suffering, and I can understand how someone can be ostracized for certain things. I am not denying that. But when it comes to sinful behaviors such as homosexuality and those that may be ostracized for it, the solution is not to codify the sinful behavior into law in order to remedy the situation. Not to mention the fact that every country has their own way of thinking about certain issues based upon their values and societal settings. I also need to note that the president of Kenya made some excellent points in presenting his argument. He said, first, this is a decision that is meant to be made not by political entities or legal scholars, but by the combined choice of the people of Kenya, which makes sense because Kenya is a sovereign country. Technically speaking, we should not have a tiny group of people deciding for the majority which direction the country needs to go, especially on issues that involve their moral values. For instance, in America, anyone who dares talk critically about the LGBTQ movement is good enough to be slaughtered at the altar of the woke and cancel culture. And the LGBTQ folks living in America, they make up about 4 to 6% of a population of 350 million people, which means 93 to 96% of the population needs to obey those 4 to 6%. Think about that for a minute. Second of all, the president of Kenya hasn't even necessarily said he disagrees with the position and has said it is equally possible for it to be changed in the future. But to be partial on an issue such as this is not good enough for those who are pushing this agenda.
You're going to get yourself into trouble.
Number 3, the president of Kenya made it clear that no rights of any Kenyan will be neglected. The first point he made is really clear. Even if the political elites decide to make a policy for LGBTQ people, if the Kenyan people disagree, it will fail. And if the Kenyan people wish to have gay rights, then naturally the government will proceed to make policies in favor of that. However, he clearly stated that this is not where his country is, and that's not the direction they are taking. This was not the first time the president of Kenya was backed into a corner to accept homosexuality or bow down to the LGBTQ movement. Back in 2018, President Obama, who is of Kenyan descent himself, also made a plea to the Kenyan president on the same issue of gay rights in order to get him to accept that ideology and ultimately pass some laws in favor of it. Watch this.
When a government gets in the habit of treating people differently, those habits can spread. And not harming anybody, the idea that they are going to be treated differently or abused because of who they love is wrong. Full stop.
Just like President Obama, I think we also need to be able to speak frankly about some of these things. And the fact of the matter is that Kenya and the United States, we share so many values. Our common love for democracy, entrepreneurship, value for families. These are things that we share. But there are some things that we must admit we don't share. Our culture, our societies don't accept. It's very difficult for us to be able to impose on people that which they themselves do not accept. This is why I repeatedly say that for Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. We want to focus on other areas that are day-to-day living for our people. The health issues that we have discussed with President Obama, these are critical. Issues of ensuring inclusivity and of women, a huge section of society that is normally left out of the mainstream of economic development. What we can do in terms of infrastructure, what we can do in terms of education, in terms of our roads, in terms of giving our people power, encouraging entrepreneurship. These are the key focuses. Maybe once, like you have overcome some of these challenges, we can begin to look at new ones. But as of now, the fact remains that this issue is not really an issue that is on the foremost mind of Kenyans, and that is the fact.
It is so refreshing to watch men who have backbones to stand up in the realm of politics against certain agendas. It's not something that you see very often. Many countries from the West have already bent the knee to this godless ideology. The last frontier I would like to think was the United States of America, with the best schools, the brightest scientists, and some of the most talented thinkers and philosophers. These people at one point could argue from a logical standpoint the existence of God's sociopolitical issues. Now we don't even know what a woman is in America anymore.
Like, what is a woman?
Well,
can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
I like to argue that America was a beacon of truth and justice in this world, but now all of the sexual and homosexual indoctrinations and perversions are coming out of America. It is not only encouraged, it is the new normal. The sexual perversions are being taught in the primary schools at an aggressive pace. It's as if they're preparing for something or for someone. On a global scale, proposals like these have been made by the United Nations to other African countries who refuse to accept the homosexual and LGBTQ agenda.
Any nation, one form of discrimination that has been ignored or even sanctioned by many states for far too long. Discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity.
There's one very important thing everyone needs to note. Once you start messing with the order of things as God ordained them to be, what you end up with is a society that is completely out of its mind. They call men women and women men. You end up with what the Apostle Paul calls in Romans 1:18 through 32, a reprobate mind. A mind that is unable to think, a mind in utter darkness. And it gets even worse when you take these upside down ideologies and codify them into law. That is a recipe for a completely insane society. When someone like the president of Kenya says that he would not accept such defileness of ideas and practices to be passed into laws in his country, then he's threatened, not by his own people, but by CNN. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, stand for truth unapologetically, because only the truth can set you free. The truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ is the only thing that can set sinners free from the bondage of sin. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and thanks for watching this episode. I'm going to be making more of these in the weeks to come. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't. With love in Christ, John Henry with the Gospel of Christ.